Southern Super Series race, and you're listening to ONTrack Weekly.
Well, we start off ONTrack Weekly with some news, and it concerns the Ontario Pro Challenge Series. Just an hour ago, some confirmations that the Grindstone Racing Team is returning to beautiful race cars here that we saw in the last year. Obviously, they'll be worked on a little bit since they got some damage last year, but the big confirmation from Mike Norris at the Ontario Pro Challenge is that Jay Lindy and Ty Riopel will be back in the 9 and the 18 cars for 2025. So we'll take a look at the roster updates from last week. We got some new division names or sponsors. A couple of additions, not a ton, but we did get a couple additions and a new confirmation for a division at Full Throttle. We will have some news regarding what people's, what their opinions is on certain things, and we've put out a couple of questions to the ONTrack Weekly audience, and we're going to see what the consensus is for 2025, an event that you're looking forward to attending this season. And then, of course, drivers that are set for potential breakout seasons in 2025. We actually just spoke with one on the Stickers and Scuffs podcast maybe about half an hour ago, Ryder White, who's going to contend the Mini Stock Championship at Sunset Speedway. So we'll talk about those in a little bit, but great news to start off tonight with Jay Lind and Ty Riopel. I'm not sure if it's Jay Lindy or if it's Jay Lind, but thank you to Ontario racer Chase Pinsino, who is down running in the CRA, the Jags All-Pro Series for Carson Hocevar once again this season. Congratulations for all of his success. He will be back, up at the front. He's had a bit of a rough go of it so far this year, but we're going to see what he can do. I'm just going to make sure I'm always repping somebody here on the show. Got the birthday boy, Donovan Price, being repped tonight, turning the ripe old age of I'm not going to tell you. And then we're going to have, obviously, our imagereps.ca. Got some lots of reviews coming from Craig Camrath and the team there. Lots of beautiful race cars. We've already seen a couple come out. And if we have time tonight, we'll definitely do a showcase once again. But we started the show off with the Ontario Pro Challenge Series. They've already kind of confirmed. It looks to be they're gonna have a bit bigger of a field for 2025. Not to the point where we're going to go crazy here, but right now there doesn't appear to be any major schedule or changes within that. But when it comes to the roster, we're seeing some of those names return. Don't know about Jordan Ramsbottom, and we know he's going to be doing some racing in the CVMs this year, so that likely is to take him away. But it's only expected to be a part-time effort for Ramsbottom, so that likely won't play as big of a role. we did get confirmation as well that there is some returning names out at Delaware Speedway. There hasn't been really a lot in terms of updates to roster members coming in, but one that was there tonight, Jesse Kennedy has a spot listed here. Jesse Kennedy in the 10K back for the APC series, likely for your Delaware events. I definitely see him doing the 300. Not that we wouldn't expect Jesse Kennedy to be out there when they go to Delaware. That's kind of his jam. Not only returning to the APC Pro Late Models, but also the late models here at Delaware in the Experience Camping Late Model Division. As we take a look, you can see just over to the left here, the dad's number 10 from Oneida. That is Jesse Kennedy returning once again to run at Delaware Speedway in their Pro Late Model Division, but not really a ton of additions based off of their website. It does appear things have quieted down, and this is typically what we do here is racers will not be confirming the registration until right towards the end, right before the season starts, and we are getting really close to it. We are halfway through April already, and May 3rd is the opening for Flamborough and for Sunset, 17 for Peterborough. Delaware not starting right away either. But what we are looking for this season is hopefully a couple more additions to both APC, Dayco Superstocks. Oscar's kind of in the same boat. I mean, right now there really hasn't been roster updates for either one of the modifieds or the hot rods, so the likelihood is you're going to see a lot of them come in right around the time for registration. Calvin says he tends to register right on opening night. And I mean, I personally believe that the tracks should invest in similar to what we saw that Grand Bend did, online registration. Save yourself a lot of paperwork, a lot of time, get those registrations in as quickly as possible. If you're going to have a website, especially for your series or for your track, that's constantly being updated with driver profiles, early registration is the way to go. If you're not planning on doing any of that, then registration doesn't mean much, right? Until the opening night. So that's the way that that's going to work. We got the Pro Challenge. We talked about Jesse Kennedy returning. Not only that, but we did get some news coming out from the Grand Bend Speedway, actually. They've got a brand new partner, or not, I guess it's not brand new, it's returning partner. And this is the new division kind of that they're running. Dock Stater Property Maintenance, a well-known for the V8 stocks out at Delaware Speedway, going to Grand Bend as well. They're back for the 2025 season as the Invitational Bone Stock Division sponsor. So that is Dock Stater Property Maintenance continuing to support motorsports in the name. Obviously, Dock Stater, Jared was someone I'm not familiar with because unfortunately I didn't get to know him. I don't know much about him because when I got involved in Canadian and Ontario motorsports, he had already unfortunately passed. But I know the respect and how beloved he was. And if you go back and watch videos on the Delaware Speedway YouTube channel, he's in a majority of them. And that's definitely what we like to see, is people that are beloved and still having a place in the sport. Now, the rosters themselves, we're still waiting for that last bit of we'll say dumping, because there's going to be people that will register, they will be a part of the season, they just won't do it until either the season starts or they'll wait until that opening night to do it. There are people that I have on my lists that I know of where people have told me that they are racing. But the reality is that in most cases, people leave it to the very last minute. Um, and not everybody is on social media. So when we take a look at the rosters that we had from last week, not a ton of changes, but there was a number 17 junior late model that Brandon Feeney actually was able to get video of practicing out at Sunset Speedway. So obviously you would expect to see somebody that will be behind the wheel at some point in the junior late model division. Do I know that driver? No. But we know that that car was out there. So typically you don't just show up with a race car if you're not going to participate in any way. But that's who we have there. Now, there's everything else sunset wise. We're still waiting for some updates. Now, in terms of Full Throttle Motor Speedway, we did get some confirmation here from Paul that they do have a partner now for their mini truck division, and that's Robson Scrap Metals, which has stepped up to partner as their division partner for this year. We did get some further additions thanks to Paul, the number 22 of Mark Ruthven in the mini stock division, and the number 87 Carter Pinch in the Thunder Truck division. Those are two additions to the constantly growing entry lists, and I still believe you're going to see more. The reality is this is very healthy looking for this early. There wasn't Calvin a ton. Feeney would know more than I, but yeah, he said there didn't seem to be a lot of cars out for practice, unfortunately. But it's more important that we see them out for practice later than earlier. But those are the two additions, plus, of course, the big news with mini trucks being partnered with Robson Scrap Metal. We'll take a look as we continue with Peterborough. We've still got our main partners up here. There's still a lot of names that are to come in for both of these, for a lot of these divisions, again, because I don't know a lot of the racers. But in the bone stock division, Grant Bartholomew has contacted me about that he was going to be racing. We also have two more additions. Tristan Raposo had put his name in the on social media looking for partners. And then on TikTok, Jacob Stavro has also posted that he's going to be racing a Integra at Peterborough Speedway this year. I don't know either one of these young men, but the Stavro TikTok does have a lot of following. It's a pretty good following. A couple of good thousands of views, which is good. We got Will and Oliver Gibbons that have confirmed they will be going to run at Peterborough each week. Will with the switch tire mini stocks, and then the junior late models, which we're still waiting for confirmation on who is going to be their partner for this year. And as I said, we'll get more and more confirmations each week. As I mentioned before, Delaware, we didn't get any additions except for Jesse Kennedy since last week. In terms of Grand Bend, again, no real changes here, but we did get Dock Stater Property Maintenance confirmed for the bone stock division out there. Nothing in the way of additions to Sauble Speedway as well. Things very, very, I wouldn't say they're very quiet because we did get a lot of information prior, but as you can see, Calvin has pointed out, the bone stock division, very solid numbers. Whether these are, the intention is a lot of these are full-time cars. However, we know you never really know, right? So as of right now, though, very solid across the bone stocks. I think of the main track, Sunset actually might have the lowest, but again, there could very well be a lot of people coming into the sport that I am not familiar with, so that's why they might not be included on these lists. And then you also have to consider outlaw racers. Outlaw schedule basically means that they don't have a set track that they run at. They'll basically show up different places each week if they're off somewhere else, or if they're planning on coming for a special event, they might not run for points. So that's typically what we will see. In terms of the Flamborough divisions, we don't have any real changes going on here as well. I mean, as you can see, pretty okay numbers. The Grindstone Canadian Vintage Modifieds look fantastic. The mini stocks also look like they'll probably have a bit more than what they've had in the past. The big question mark right now is the Steel City Super Stocks. There's 3, but we know of more. It's not my place to post without those drivers to confirm that they are going to be a part of that season. So that's where they're headed right now. Laird is starting to slowly update theirs as well. I don't know much about it, but thanks to a couple of buddies who, put it out there that they wanted to see Laird included, we'll give it a shot here. JP Del Paggio was already part of this. We've added Owen Brown and Dylan Connolly to the roster lists. The one that has changed a little bit, we've added some names to the Ontario Super Late Model Division with Glenn Watson, Dario Capriccio, Brandon Passer, that have been added with Glenn Watson. And then, of course, you mentioned already Jay Lind. Mike O'Connell has now been confirmed. Tyree Opel with the Ontario Pro Challenge. The Outlaw Midgets, no real changes there. Can-Am Midgets, no changes there as well. Same really across the board here. Nothing new, but we know there will be more names coming. We did get confirmation that Brendan Patrick is going to be a part of the Ontario Sportsman Series. Patrick Brothers Racing did confirm that he would be contending. However, his father, we can take him off right now. No confirmation on Mark Patrick. They are going to be working on a super stock, though, so perhaps they have sold that 12 car. Maybe it's going to go to somebody else. It's entirely possible. Our schedules: Phil Givens, Mike Thompson, James Houghton, Billy Zardo, Reese Bourgeois right now are some of those names. We can add actually Nicole Givens to that list as well. So again, not a ton of updates, but we expect this. I mean, you're going to see a lot more names when they start to come out for practice. We start to get a little more confirmations. Names like Sean Chenoweth, we know. He's listed on the Dayco Superstocks, but APC is a likely. We've got him for APC, but he tends to do special events, and normally he is a guy that runs up front during those special events. You're going to have racers that we won't know of until they actually do start the season. And that's just part of it. We'll add them as we go along. I mean, I'm going to take a quick look at, say, Sunset Speedway, and let's just point out, like, let's say the Luda Hot Rods, okay, and announcements coming out. We haven't seen announcements for Dan Archbold, the Walters, Bromley, Hahn, Dunn, Cairns, Rothwell, Bogensberger, Ecker, Cutting, Spry, Ferroni, Martin, Blackwell, Janak, Whites, McLean, like all these kind of names. There's still a lot of racers, so we don't want people to look at these lists and go, oh my God, they're not right, or there's nobody showing up, or there's this, there's that. There's a lot that still is in play here. A lot still to happen in the off season. As much as it is coming really, really quickly, the other side of it is there's a good chance that you're going to see racers that will show up from other tracks on opening night, get their cars for a shakedown. I just don't want to see, like I said, we don't want to be going out there and destroying anybody's race car, especially heading this early into the season. We do have fans that we have reached out to, and probably this is one of my favorite things about doing this show, is getting to get some of the audience interaction. And while they might not be live watching, we were able to get, we got a good amount of comments from people. And, I posed this question as a fan first saying, who is a driver that you think is on their way to a breakout season in 2025, from weekly, touring, whoever it would be. And I was really hoping we would have people that wouldn't pick family members or people that they do work for or they're connected with. Go with people that there's no affiliation with. However, that wasn't the case. There was a lot of people that picked people that run for their team or family or people they're friends with, which is completely cool. We're going to get to each and every one of them. And we're going to go through the comments and see if there's some consistencies here, because I think there will be some names that we can definitely say are due for a breakout season. We're going to go with this topic first, and then we'll switch to the event topic afterwards. Again, if you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, share, and subscribe to GeForce TV. GeForce TV, we're still trying to get to that 20,000 subscriber mark. We're sitting at 19,300 subscribers. 20,000 would be a huge milestone for GeForce TV. We've done 132 episodes of our show. Race Rivals Race Chat, I think they're well over 250. Oshweekend Speedway, Little O Racing, APC. This, you got GeForce Lite with ACC, some special events throughout the year. They did Apple Fest last year. Typically do actually Apple Fest. So please come on out and support. That really helps us. I mean, YouTube, we tend to get very little in terms of interaction, so we need those thumbs up. We need people to come in and support and share it, because we have a new time. We're running later than we have, and the hope was that it would help the audience. It hasn't. And that's one of the issues that we kind of face, is that, when we changed this show, it was at the request really of a lot of people that we cover grassroots short track racing, and now we do, and the audience isn't tuning in live. And that's not a huge problem, but doing stuff on the fly really works, and it helps the conversation flow. But that's why posting these questions ahead of time has been a very helpful resource, because then we can go and see what people believe and who they believe are going to make some significant moves this year. And there's a couple of them that right off the bat I will agree with. And that's what's really great. So we're going to bring this question up. So we said here, who is a driver you think they'll be on their way for a breakout season in 2025? We have lots of choices across Ontario, from the weekly divisions at tracks to the touring divisions. 2025 is likely to bring some new faces to Victory Lane. Your answers will be shared, and it wasn't on next week's. It was actually this week's episode. So the first one that we've got there is from Jay Pepin, and he says Tenley Pepin in the Ontario Pro Challenge Series, and that's definitely a good choice. Tenley has been a part of that series for a couple of seasons now, and typically that's what you see a couple years, and then the driver starts to find their legs and find their speed, and the confidence comes. And I think people underestimate the Ontario Pro Challenge Series a lot. It doesn't get a ton of hype and a ton of press, but it's a very underrated series. And I think if you go weekly, there is some really, really tight racing and exciting racing at that. We saw Jordan Ramsbottom win and Tim Norris win the double features they had at Flamborough last year. And, Tim wasn't given the win by any means. He had to earn it. And at the same time, that's what we saw. Susie Shepard says Cole Quinton, Madison Tynecamp, and Dustin Goodfellow, mini stocks, and Roland Goodfellow in the prolates. You can't deny that Madison Tynecamp has definitely shown a lot of improvement in her time in mini stocks. I remember her getting lapped in heat races, and now she's just on the outside of the top 10 running with the lead pack in most races now. So she's continuing to grow and get better and better. And Cole Quinton actually had a couple of races last year that he was shouted out because he was running so well on the live broadcast. So Cole is on his way very much to potentially moving into that next level, the Connor Pritico level of greatness. I mean, we know that Kyle Steckley has been the man over the last couple of years in the APC series, but I think you can arguably say that the young gun that's coming to take that spot from him is Matt, I believe it's the nephew of Matt Pritico, I believe, or a cousin of Matt Pritico, Connor Pritico. And for a driver who won the championship in the Pro Late division at Delaware, he won a race there. The 300 donated the winnings. There's a lot of good from Connor Pritico. I think he's going to be somebody you will have to watch. Ray Morneau, once again, no slouch either. Ray Morneau Jr. has every tool to go out there and succeed. Cole Quinton would be right with them. Now, if Blair Wickett's back, I know Wickett's had a couple of seasons where he's been teetering on the edge of success. It hasn't always worked out for him. So I'm hoping that. Clayton Reed says he thinks Robbie Sykes in the Legend. He gained lots last season and thinks this year he'll be in the running for checkered flags. And piggybacking off of that, Donovan Price says that Clayton Reed is ready for a breakout. And I can't disagree with that either. The Superstock division at Peterborough Speedway is extremely tough to win in. And Clayton was able to secure his first heat win last year and has shown that he can run with the big dogs. Whether he'll be able to again this year, I mean, it's really tough to say. Chad Strong comes into that division. We don't know what's happening with Marley Owen yet. We don't know what's happening with the Gordons yet. Those are the faces of that division right now. And so all of a sudden, Clayton's got to go out and compete with those guys week in and week out, but definitely think it's doable for him. Chris Lawrence of BT Racing conveniently picks two BT cars and says Justin Culver and Mac Ingram are picks to get first feature wins this year. I'm going to go out and say I think Justin Culver is on his way to potentially being a championship contender again. He was last year, and I don't think there was as much focus on him. I think a lot of the focus for BT was Paul Fothergill. That's Paul Fothergill, right? That's the guy that's, how many championships he's won going into the BT racing car. And it really wasn't, I think, a season that we expected out of Paul. But Justin, on the other hand, had an amazing season. He finished fourth in points just behind Donovan Clark, who is somebody else who definitely could be a championship contender in that bone stock division this year. Mac Ingram is an interesting one. I think Mac will do better. I don't know about getting up into the feature win territory yet. When they do the inverts, absolutely that'll put him in prime position to do well. But I don't know about the feature win just yet. I mean, he's definitely getting better. The one thing that Mac needs is to not be involved as a pinball next year. That was a lot of what happened for him, is he got bounced around several times, not of his own making, and that always kind of sets you back. The biggest thing for him this year will be consistency. It is really, I would go out and say, like, between Delaware and Flamborough, I really think the pure stock division at Flamborough might surpass Delaware's. You can't always just look at car count as the reason why a division is great. Obviously, it helps. It's great that you can send cars home because you're so full. But I actually think that the racing, pure stock wise, at Flamborough has been some of the best that we've seen. It's extremely tight. You're not going to get as spread out as you are at Delaware. And I think that's what a lot of the people that go and race at Delaware Weekly, they have to deal with a ton of traffic, but there's a lot of room to get around that traffic. Flamborough's the lot smaller of a track than Delaware Speedway is. A lot less room to navigate through that lap traffic. So whether or not it is whether they're truly comparable, it's hard to say, but I will go out and say that I've seen the pure stock racing for years now. I think that the invert makes that division a hell of a lot more exciting. Fast cars at the back having to make their way through the field. We saw it a couple times. Craig Cole did it, where he made it from the back to the front to win. I think there was a night where he actually did both. He went out and he won the first feature, came from the back, and then won the second feature on the same night. And that's extremely difficult to do in that field. Upwards of 22 to 25 cars. I think you're going to look and see that very similar again this year, and a lot of lap traffic. So Mac would have to do a lot to be able to get into that next level. I think he'll be a solid contender for points. Whether it's the feature wins, that's going to be very, very tough to say. Calvin Reeser says competitiveness at Flamborough is much higher than Delaware. From a fan looking in, Flamy has multiple drivers with a shot where Delhi seems it's 3-4 going for this, the same 3-4 going for the win. Unfortunately, Calvin, I do agree with you. I think that there is a competitive change between the two of those tracks. There's a period where you would go to Delaware Speedway, and every week it was a BT car, or it was Jeremiah Rabideau, or it was Jordan Wilms, or it was Craig Cole. You're going to see probably similar week to week competitiveness from the field. But again, there was, I think last year with Adam Genroux, Daniel Mayu, getting those wins for the first time, that did help for sure. It did show Donovan Clark as well was another one, a non-BT car, a non-championship contender at the time that moved himself into that role. That is where I'm looking for the Jesse Howards of Delaware, the Dakota Luumas, Race Meyer, move themselves into those positions and be championship contenders week in and week out. The reality is, I think it's a lot harder to do that at Delaware Speedway, and unseat names like Jason Lovey. If Jason Lovey is coming back this year, watch out, because his car blew up last year and they had that fire. I think there's nobody that's going to be hungrier if he is back. Jeremiah Rabideau, same thing. Now, Rabideau did not win the title last year under kind of funny circumstances. Matt Langford won it. That could very well be a reason why Rabideau maybe doesn't return. I don't know if he is or not. I'd like to find out. But you're definitely right, Calvin. There was a period where both of them were literally, it was Rabideau, he would win every heat, he'd win every feature. So there is a period of that you'll come across that. And that is, it's not as fun, in my opinion. Eric Stewart, who also, again, we're talking about people that have connections to the people that they're saying are going to have breakout seasons, but he actually says Haley McNichol and Matt Thompson. Now, Haley, I believe I don't know if she's going to run Sweet Pea again. Yeah, definitely Eric for Rookie of the Year. Matt Thompson, we know, is a legend car racer, possibly a teammate to Eric Stewart, and so he's definitely being a good teammate right there. Haley, if she's going to be running the legend cars or if she's running the hot rods, it remains to be seen. We're waiting for a full announcement there. I haven't really checked into it. Maybe she has announced it yet, but Matt Thompson is somebody I agree with. I think Matt Thompson showed in the GLLs and obviously in the Ontario Legend that while he didn't have the results that ultimately he deserved, he definitely ran very, very well. Rich Schwarzenberg says Braden Zamet at Full Throttle and Donovan Clark at Delaware. I can't disagree with those. Both good choices. Braden Zamet, very impressive last year at Full Throttle, and he very well could contend. Brandon Feeney, again, Victoria McLennan, I watched her last year at Peterborough Speedway, and I watched her from a couple years ago. That's not the same racer that I saw a couple years ago. She has gotten extremely confident behind the wheel of her 89 car, and she's fast. Really fast. So yeah, I could definitely see her having a breakout season. Leo LaBarbera. Leo Superfly Leo has actually had it before. He's been a champion. He's had some struggles. Could he go out and definitely compete? 2 wins last season. No doubt in my mind, Leo LaBarbera. He's going to have a teammate with Tegan Ellis running his second car. I like Leo as an underdog choice for sure. Even though he's a previous champion, he is somebody that I can definitely go out and say. And Feeney says calling Wally Wilson to win a championship. So I think Wally's going to have a really good shot at it for a championship. That really depends on what's going to happen out at Delaware and what's going to happen with the Oscar modifieds. I think he's going to be in tough at Sunset because he's got to go up against Amanda Balson, Steve Trendell. I don't know about AJM's, whether he's running a full-time schedule or not, but for sure, Steve Trendell and Amanda Balson would definitely put in a lot of work. If Darren Malcolm is also going to run full-time, that makes it extremely tough for Wally as well. But the trajectory is everything, and Wally's trajectory since his new affiliation has been working on these cars for years, and the focus. That's the key thing for Wally Wilson, has been his focus only on modifieds. And that's why he's doing 3 divisions this year, all modifieds. Delaware is a definite possibility for him to be contending. He does very well at Delaware Speedway. Sunset does very well. Peterborough, he basically can do it at every track if they've got the right setup, if he's got the confidence. We've seen it, that it has been a steady progression for him. Wally has taken time to get there. And since really he got himself into the lead for the first time a couple of years ago, holding off Andy Camarath, arguably one of the best modified racers that the province has seen in years, in full dominant fashion. Andy Camarath was undefeated in those cars, in heats and in features. And Wally Wilson was able to lead and hold the lead with Andy Camarath behind him. That helped his confidence a ton. And I think learning from somebody like Andy definitely would have helped Wally out. I know that they still have struggles, though. And we've seen it, that a couple of those races last year bit them. So that definitely is one of those things. We talked about Jessie Howard. Cassie, her big sister, says yes. She's got a fire lit under her from last year. She hopes to see her improve. Sean Cook says Cody Cook in Bone Stocks. I think Cody getting out there and running a full season would be the biggest breakout for him, because he hasn't been able to do it. The mini stock and then bone stock stuff just hasn't worked out. They've had car troubles and they got involved in a really big accident a couple of years ago that really destroyed their car and season. Spencer Riddell brings up a very good pick, and she's somebody else that I saw again come in the division and immediately move into a role as not just a field filler. She was immediately successful. And while she didn't go out there and win, she put herself in the position multiple times to go out and secure top finishes. And it's those types of moves that give a driver confidence. Now she's taking over for her brother Cam. Cam moving to the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. And I definitely think that she has every chance of putting herself into victory lane. From what I saw last year, she had a podium finish. She moved her way through the field several times. The race I actually saw her, she was involved in an accident, unfortunately, but for the most part, what we see has been a lot of potential. So I definitely think she's got Rodney Rutherford helping her out. Obviously Cam, family ties there, very successful at Flamborough. So I think Haley Hill for sure. Brady Cox says Justin Stoyanovsky, being a rookie, will have a good season. I have no idea. I don't know who that is. Never heard of him, but he's going to go out there and he's going to try at Sauble Speedway. So let's see what they can do. Let's see what Justin can do. That will be a really big test for him. Jake Sutcliffe says he's got Wyatt Sutcliffe, Michael Robinson, Coleridge, Finnemore, already all prominent figures in the mini stock division and battling for feature wins whenever they are. Definitely ones to watch. And again, names I can't really disagree with here. Michael Robinson got his first feature win in the quote non-winners race at Sunset to end the year. Wyatt Sutcliffe got himself into a position where he was able to hold off Cast Iron for a heat win. And Coleridge Finnemore probably should have won at least 3 to 4 features last year in his number 80 car. And I think is going to be the one to take it to Jake and Cam this year once again. Now, championship-wise, Coleridge Finnemore has an extremely fast car. I'm not 100% sure. I believe it is the former Cole Burrows machine. And you don't finish third in points without being successful. Now, Coleridge had just a couple races where if he didn't finish where he did, the whole season he'd probably be right up there with Jake and Cam. Obviously, that first race of the season, contact with Jake Sutcliffe, cut, I believe, Sutcliffe's tire. He made contact and was it dirty? I don't know. I wasn't close enough to it. From where I looked, it looked like they just got hooked together and it cut the tire, but he had that basically won, and it turns out he didn't win it. Coleridge will be somebody who will be competing for wins week in and week out. Wade Yarrow says that Corey Halbert will get a feature win this year. That's a Canadian Modified out of Brighton this year. We were watching Corey for the last couple of seasons and really has had just really bad luck. And that's what it's been, unfortunately, for him, is he hasn't gotten the feature win, but I think the tools are there for him. If he can just find that next level. I don't know dirt as well, but I'm trying to learn week in and week out, and just consistency wise, Corey had some tough runs last year. Jay Cutting is the suggestion from Gordon McPherson. I cannot deny that one right there. Jay Cutting's so again, this is another one of those divisions that this is going to be really hard to judge, because the competition level at the hot rod division at Sunset Speedway has grown by leaps and bounds from where it was not 2-3 years ago. You have really competitive racers in that division, ones that will not at all let off. They will make sure that if they don't win, someone else is not going to, especially if you rough them up. You've got you got Stompin' Tom Walters, you have Dan Archibald, Paul Bogensberger, Rob Bromley, Tyler Hahn. That's if they all come back. You add in Josh Berry, Ben McPherson, Thomas Dunn, Jamie Cairns. Hell, if you add in Rick Spencer Walt for running Bromley's car, if you have Corey McAllister running his hot rod, there's so many guys that make that division what it is, and it could get really, really crazy. Adding kids like Thomas Wunsch, or if Maddie Hopkins comes down and runs from Varney, Jamie Adams, if she comes down and runs, like there's a lot of options now from Varney and Sunset that there's not just Oscar anymore. There is a lot of choices out there. And, Jeremy McLean has had a really tough couple of years. They've been trying the truck program. It hasn't worked out for him. Believe he's got a little bit more in the tank this year, something a little bit different. I think going back to the Chevelle this year. And if that's the route he's taking, that car was fast before they switched to the truck, and maybe that's it. I think that once again, the hot rod division, if they can tidy up the wrecking and retaliations and just leave it to the racing product that they put on last year, I don't know who beats them for most entertaining. I really don't. Amanda Balson last year, that finale to a championship was one of the best races I have ever witnessed in my entire life, recorded or live. It was very similar. Gave me the Kurt Busch / Ricky Craven vibes from Darlington in 03, where it was just right down to the wire. They could have hooked left, and stuck together right at the line, but they didn't. They were being very, they were running into the back of Amanda, pushing her up the track, bumping side by side, and she just kept fighting back and squeaked by with that win on the high side. And it reminded me of the win that she had against Dan Archibald earlier in the year. And those two started off in the season with a really tough coming together where there was some anger there. And again, this is the stories that you want to have. I mean, you go to the junior late models, and Sam says, I think everyone would love to see Morgan get her first win there. And I agree. I mean, I'd love to see Morgan do it. I think Morgan has the potential to do it. I think that there's some fear there, and that could be residual fear from a couple of years ago. And I feel like what has been holding her back is from whatever it seems that just certain areas on the track upset the car very much for her. And when I saw Ryland Camrath, Josh Davenport, Cole Camrath, Jake Spencer-Walt, Keegan Moat, where they seem to get all of that steam is like, it looks like they're just flat footing on the top of the racetrack and motoring up there. And I don't know if she's done that yet. But based off of her performance at ACC last year, you can see that she's getting there. And this is the one thing that I think is really fun with those juniors, is that you all of a sudden they might be slow and struggling and just kind of trying to make it through. And then all of a sudden it's like a light switch goes off. We saw it with Josh Davenport. We saw it with Chase Stevenson. You saw it with Cole, and you saw it with, especially actually, you saw it with Josh. So there's definitely the option there. We're talking about, like Terry Strawn mentioning Chase Stevenson going to the Bone Stocks. I'm a little more skeptical. That's a big change going from the not even the Bandoleros, actually, the junior late models into a bone stock division. If the bone stock division at Peterborough was where it was a couple years ago, maybe I could see Chase having a breakout year, but I think it's going to be extremely tough this year. He's got some veterans coming into that division. He's got, some younger names too, but the majority of those racers in there, I think, will be tough. I think it's going to be very tough for Chase to go out there and have a season where he goes out and wins. And I could be wrong. I would love it if I'm wrong. He's got a beautiful race car. I don't know how it'll perform. We saw that his sister Paige, she got out there last year, and I think again she took time to get going. Callie Dearmer, I think, showed a lot too. So all three of them will be something that I think there's going to be some sibling rivalry, and that's going to be really good to propel him. But I think it'll take him a bit more than a season to get out there and have a breakout performance. I think last year that was his breakout performance in the junior late models, with obviously his big win at the Invitational at Sunset, and then the biggest one, obviously, arguably with the ACC title. And he did both of those, I believe, coming from the back. So there's definitely something to that. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to be right off having a breakout season in his first year. I don't see that. Rachel Mitchell or Rick Mitchell, Haley Hill. Can't disagree with these from Megan. I think Rachel definitely started to show that where Rachel needed a little bit more was the finishing of the races. She got herself up front with the inverts and would be able to be up there, but wasn't able to keep it until the very end. And that was probably the most frustrating, because she built up a huge lead in multiple races. And unfortunately, I think it was Craig Cole just ran her down. And towards the end of the season, obviously, she did get a runner-up finish. She has won Dash for Cashes, and I think that really did help her confidence. Rick Mitchell, again, Rick Mitchell can tend to run up front any week. And it's not that the MRC cars struggle, because we saw it last year that I think Chase Mitchell, that was his breakout season. And, I think Megan's completely on the money when she's talking about Haley Hill and Rachel as well. Alex Stewart says, I'll actually be able to compete, unlike last year. But he actually thinks Spencer will one up last year and get the championship at Flamborough. You know what? I would love to see Spencer Riddell go out and win the championship in the pure stock division, especially for how much they go out there and how much they have to fight. Sean Chenoweth says Eric Stewart. That's Ontario Legend Cars, and he's also running for Kenny McNichol. Broco says Brody. She thinks Brody will have a good season. Can she pick her own kid? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised people picking their own kid. Laura Authier picks her fiance Kevin Trevelyan from an Ontario Sportsman Series 2022 champion. Gary Triska says Nathan Rhea is the breakout kid. Graydon says Cody Cook. Ash says Alex Delaire of Peterborough, who I agree with. I think that kid's got a lot of talent. Kind of reminds me like Donovan Clark, where moved himself into the top 10 on a regular basis. McLennan and La Barbera as well. Jesse Howard, Cassie Howard, Keegan Moat. I think Keegan is somebody who is probably going to be an underrated pick. Keegan is moving into a division that's brand new. He's going to travel, but he's going to have an opportunity to become a front runner in that championship. There's a lot of great racers that are already getting into the Bandoleros. Lila Sigma would be one of them. Landon, Hudson, Sellers, Caden Taylor, Ava Boundy. But there's going to be more. Not just those racers that we've mentioned. So there will be question marks. Matt Young says definitely Tyler Lewis. Tons of mechanical issues up and down over the last few years, but seeing the speed at the end of the year, he'll be set for this year. I like that pick, actually, and he's going to run full-time this year. 59, Tyler Lewis. Wally Wilson, Kara Martin in her V8. I think if there's somebody that just needs better luck, it would be Kara Martin. It seemed like they just had a really, really tough go of it. Corey Horn says Johnny McIntyre and Wayne Dewey. I can't say Wayne Dewey's going to go out and have a breakout season in his first year. Johnny McIntyre, though, I saw a lot out of him last year in the 53 car. I actually think Johnny McIntyre moving into the 09 for Corey Horn definitely is somebody that you're going to have to watch out for. Austin says his dad, Heath Penny. Moving back to the CVMs, Matt Boundy says Victoria McLennan. That's 3 votes already for Victoria McLennan, Zach Chang, Ethan Fleet in the Pro Challenge. We have Morgan Moore, a second vote for her from Colton. Hudson Sellers, Jacob Vanderbolt from Aaron Vandy. We have Kane McAllister in the Junior Lates. Jay Pappin in the Canadian Vintage Modifieds. Andrew Massey. Oh, he says, you said breakout, not who's going to break the most stuff. So out of this conversation that we've had, it has been the votes. Victoria McLennan leads the way in terms of the vote count for having the most potential for having a breakout season in 2025. And I can't really deny that. I think Victoria McLennan has every opportunity to go out there and take the bone stocks by storm this year. Now, the one downside would be the competition level is stacked. And we looked at it earlier. The bone stock division across the province right now, bone stocks are getting attention. Now, Sunset right now, I don't know about. I don't know much about what's going to look like at Grand Bend. They seem to have a couple more interested. Whether that's going to be on the regular, but I don't really know. But Flamborough definitely saw bowls an improvement. Grand Bend, like we've got 4 register, I believe, that I know of. So that's an improvement there. That's one more than last year. You've got Peterborough looking very solid in their accounts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, potentially 20 plus out there. Yeah, and then bone stocks at friggin' full throttle over, like they're on their way to getting like 30. It's just really Sunset right now. I don't know where they're going to fit. And we saw the mini stocks kind of they took a lot of the crowd last year that was in the bone stocks. You've got Curtis Burnett. He's moving out into that division. Brandon Burnett, not sure what's going to happen with him right now. Was going to go mini stock racing. Then you got the hot rods, Josh Berry, Jason King, Ben McPherson, all going hot rod racing. The question I think kind of is going to be like, is Booth Racing going to go back and have 2 to 3 bone stocks? Are we going to see the Jay Berry team continue to run bone stocks, or are they only going to run hot rods? So there's a lot of question marks around cars. We know Jason King's car sold to Mike Balson last year. He ran the end of the season. He is going to be back this year in some capacity. I mean, I already reached out to him and had it. And Calvin says, you'll have your 10 to 12 cars like always. I'd like to see Sunset get to that next level. However, there seems to be a real problem with this division. I think there's people that avoid coming to it. I mean, Jordan Owen is somebody who I think with Calvin and Chris Allard will be your likely championship contenders. I'll throw Austin Janet in there as well if that's where he's going to be. If he's going to do full-time in that division. Aiden Harper is going to be somebody you're going to have to watch as well. Steve Oakes. So there's great top-level content, top-level drivers. It's just, where are the other guys going to be? Is it, Chris Kahn going to show up? Is Matt Christina going to show up? Are we going to see the regulars? Nolan Brown says, the 17 junior is Troy Purvis. He's running weekly at Sunset. Just thought I'd point that out. Nolan, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate that. I didn't know who the driver's name was. I knew the last name was Purvis, but I did not know who the driver's name was. So I'm going to update my list right now. I appreciate that, buddy. So again, we're seeing these are the numbers that we've got right now. And again, those are your kind of weekly racers. It's not including potential outlaw contenders that will be not running full time, like I mentioned, Chris Kahn or Matt Christina. The Booths, if Nathan Booth or Jesse Brown is back, or Tiffany Booth, Willow King. There seems to be kind of a weekly carousel of racers that would typically participate in these events. But again, I think you've got a solid core in the bone stock division for sure. Carly Woolman, we know, will be back. Carly is always out there with the bone stocks. Whether Jack Bird comes back and runs, I don't really know whatever happened to him actually. Cash Ireton, he ran more of the mini stocks last year. So there will be a pretty big turnover if a lot of those names are officially moved on for 25. In terms of like your bone stocks at Peterborough, primarily you're looking at the main change, Corey Horn, Sean Kennedy not being back. Kennedy is a huge loss for them. That is a name that's been in that division for many years, competed for the championship many years. So there's a lot of fresh and a lot of new in the bone stocks, the Battlefield Cat Rental Store bone stocks out at Peterborough. Nick Adamson, Chase Stevenson, Wayne Dewey, Tristan Raposo, Jacob Stavro, and Grant Bartholomew, lots of young new faces coming in to the bone stock division. So with that, there does tend to be a little bit more chaos. So I think you're going to see a lot. I think you'll see Booth focus on the Superstock, and that will only help that guy. Look out for him this season, the Superstock one hand and all. I don't know, Calvin, right? That's the big question, because last year I don't expect Jacob to be back in the bone stocks, but Booth Racing still ran those and operated those cars for Nathan Booth, for Jesse Brown, for Tiffany Booth. So are those cars sold? Have they gone to somebody? That was kind of the big question mark, I think, and whether we see that or not. Obviously, Delaware's always got 30 plus bone stocks. Will they have a little bit different? Flamborough, will they take a dip as well? So there's a lot of things we still have to figure out, but you know what? We're going to talk about those more when we are back here next week. Of course, ONTrack Weekly, 8:30 to 9:30. Likelihood is that might change as well, depending on where our audience listens. If we're talking 8 to 9, that might be where we're best suited. 8:30 to 9:30. 9 to 10. We'll try and figure this out. We want to try and get the most interaction that we have with our audiences. That's the most important thing here. We want to build a show that brings people together and talks. Rick says 2 podiums for Mac this year. I don't disagree that he'll get podiums. Whether it's a breakout season, I don't know, because he got 1 podium last year. So I can't say that it's breakout if he gets 1 more. Breakout to me is more like championship contender, multiple feature wins, becoming that next level of racer. I still think Mac's got a couple years for that, but we're excited to have him repping our brand with our podcast, and I'm excited to have you guys being a part of the show. You guys tuning in tonight. We are almost at the finish line for this off season, guys. Like we're there. The practices are starting. I can't believe I'm saying this, but we have essentially 2 weeks left until the season begins on May 3rd. You have this week, next week, and then we're racing. It is here, guys. It is here. I'll be there May 3rd with Graydon Bunn. John Morrison will be there. We'll be there for the Sunset opener. The likelihood is to be out for the Peterborough opener as well on the 17th. Flamborough opener, I'm not 100% sure yet if that's going to happen. I believe there's no availability for rides there for me right now. So we're definitely there, guys. We are definitely there. We have everything in line for the 2025 season. We're going to get more names released in time, more paint scheme reveals, more people on the track testing their cars, which will add to this. I think I'm going to check out just one more before we go, which is the practice times for Delaware. And Delaware's practices aren't until the 26th. And Feeney, the Flamborough opener, I think it's the same night as Sunset. So I wouldn't be able to make it's May 3rd, but I don't think I can't make the opener because I'm going to Sunset for the opener there. But what I meant was like an opening weeks for Flamborough, which would be the 10th. Pro late models, Can-Am midgets, Pro Challenge, and Pure Stocks would be the card. I would prefer to try and get there and see more of the Pro Challenge, Pure Stocks, CVMs, and mini stocks over the Pro Lates. Can-Am midgets, I'd like to see our racers, Jeff Blackburn, Daniel Hahn, Corey Whittam. But the hope is to get out there as much as possible this year. Honestly, I love Flamborough Speedway. It's one of my favorite tracks. In fact, there's it might be one of my favorite places to shoot at, actually. Video wise, it's a great spot. Great spot, lots of great views. But you know what? We appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week on ONTrack Weekly. CamK, I really need you guys to share, subscribe to the channel, give us some likes as well. That really helps and lets us know we're doing the right thing. And whether 8:30 works, guys, if we go 8:30 to 9:30, we go 9:30 to 10, 9:30 to 10:30, go 9 to 10, 8 to 9. We're done with 7 p.m.s though. That wasn't working. So we'll see you guys. We appreciate you. It's ONTrack Weekly, guys. Catch you all next week.